Hey, yeah, this is Mer from Dr. Baer,
And this is Sebastian from Dr. Baer.
and this is the
Progcast.
yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome back to the Progcast. I'm your host Dario, and today we're recording from my home. And it is episode 67, and as you heard already, I have two guests from Germany here. They're located in Freiburg, also in southern Germany, but little bit the opposite of the country here in the southern parts of Germany. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the show.
Pretty well.
Yeah,
Nice weather, everything's fine, and we can be here, so. Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, the
Awesome.
weather is good, yeah. A little hungry, but yeah, I think we'll take care of that. Get a pizza.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys on the show because yeah, the story goes like this, a little bit like this. My Progcast co-host / co-producer Randy played with his band This Is Not an Elephant with you guys at some point last year, last fall, and had nothing but good things to say about you. And I couldn't be there, unfortunately, at this concert. But yeah, now I checked you guys out, and you have some crazy stuff to offer. And so I was curious to find out more. What Dr. Baer is all about. So why don't you just start with telling us how the band came together and what your mission is, or musically, where you found, how you found together.
That's kind of hard to tell because in the beginning it started off as a cover band. Basically, it was around 5-6 years ago. And then the lineup of the band changed and the music we played changed. And then somewhen I came together with these people and then we landed kind of at this music we play because it was something everyone had fun with and everyone felt involved with, and then we wanted to see where we can push it. And
Yeah, I think the way it really started, at least the way the band is now. I'm not one of the founding members either, but I mean, I think he is. You are, right?
yeah, I'm the only one left.
And the way it started, I think principle was we studied together actually. We studied music together in Freiburg, and one of the semesters we did kind of a Tool tribute band where Tool, Ride the Spiral. Everyone's really obsessed with the whole with the Maynard factor. So because of that, it kind of brought us really close. We did a medley of 4 songs. Like the most popular songs, like say Lateralus was there, Raiden 2 was there. What else? The Part was there, obviously. One more, Enema was there, yeah.
All right.
And
Is it available on YouTube?
It is actually. It actually is.
Sessions.
There is a channel run by a friend of ours called Dorian. He records bands. And like we do these one-take videos with live cameras, and there is a video on YouTube actually. Hopefully we've come a long way since then. But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. It was really cool. And that's how 4 of the 5 members of the band played together for the first time. But the band as Dr. Baer, I think, goes way before that.
Yeah. And then some of the former members had to leave the band because they moved to different cities and stuff. And then it just made sense to go on with these guys. And
Yeah, like
Was the pretty much best decision in a while.
it was, yeah. We're all friends. We all do our bit, and it's somehow we're learning. It's a process, but I think we can say that we're proud of what we've done so far. I guess,
Yeah, for sure.
even if it sounds cocky. Yeah.
What you've done so far is you put out an EP in 2017 called Galama, and then a concept album called Exercises in Composure, which you released last year. And yeah, those were the two. It is the more or less the back catalog, and then this year you put out a monster 10-12 minute single. How would you say are the differences? Where are the differences in those releases? Maybe both in a working way. Like, was it different? Working together, producing, writing the music together, and also the outcome. How was the music different?
I mean, the main difference was probably before the first two EPs, because in the first two EPs I wrote the song together with the former guitar player, and he came from a completely different musical direction. And when he left the band and I started writing with him, also the music changed pretty much. The process changed.
You're talking about me.
About him, yes. My beloved friend. And yes, also we had changes in where we recorded it and who produced it and stuff. And so there is a difference in the sound and the style from every release to the next. But now we got to a point where it stays more even in kind of one direction, while we had this major change between the first and the second release.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can hear it pretty much. I mean, this like the first release is really, I really like the songs. They're like safe, really cool songs to play live. The second release with the, I don't know why do you call it an EP? It's concept album.
Yeah.
The second release, Exercises in Composure, is like a we experimented on that a lot actually. It was actually really, I wouldn't say, was it rushed? It was pretty rushed, right?
Yeah, I mean, it happened all in quite not so much time, because we also set the date for recording it and stuff pretty early, and then we were like, yeah, okay, we have to finish it till that date and stuff. So
yeah, we decided to give each other deadlines because with studying music and working on the side to keep the whole thing afloat and stuff, you got to make sure you prioritize something. So we prioritized the release, and Sebi would come home, and then we would write, we would record, and then show it to the rest of the band, and soon it was an album out of nowhere. So we decided, okay, let's call it a concept album.
yeah.
And it is, I think.
It's
With the newest song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's stay at Exercises in Composure for a second now, because you're teasing it as a concept album here. Of course, I'm curious about the concept. What's behind there? What's an exercise in composure?
Yeah, it was mainly driven by a kind of roughly Buddhistic idea. So it was about meditation, about the way to deal with certain things in your life. And yeah, I mean, the frame of the album is basically the first song. It's about reincarnation. And the last song is about dying, so you have this circle element to it. And the idea is basically you can play the album over and over again, and it makes perfect sense in a circular way.
And
that's a bit meta there.
Yeah, that's the whole prog element. But yeah, there are some instances in the album also where the emotions go in ways that are different from what's happened before, and there's a lot of changes. We used a lot of ethno instruments, like we call them ethno instruments because they're not really typical instruments found in prog metal bands. We play this string instrument from Turkey called the saz.
Sweet.
Which is like, it brings this microtonal factor in it, which is pretty sing, I guess.
Yeah, we had some throat singing.
We had some. Our drummer does a lot of throat singing, like this Tibetan stuff. Like, it's really interesting. And we used some layers of that. And we also used the glockenspiel, which is like kind of like a German version of vibraphone, xylophone kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
and then we had a really ancient Chinese violin on that record called the erhu, which plays a solo in the song Out of the Blue, which I think was Sebi's idea actually.
Yeah, because my brother plays it because he studied violin and then someone got interested in that instrument.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, okay, if you go in this Buddhism direction, it makes perfect sense to use also an instrument that comes from this part of the world. And yeah, turned out well.
Cool. Yeah, I will definitely go back to listen to it again. I didn't really have the time. I was listening to it like in the background, but there's so much going on that you really should sit down and take your time to listen to it. Yeah, moving on to this year's release, which is the song "The Day I Invented Rain," which was released at the beginning of June, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
So
It was June the 5th.
What? Yeah, sounds about right. I think that was a Friday, and Fridays are the release days of the week. One thing that stands out immediately if you like listen to "The Day I Invented Rain" and the earlier stuff or the other stuff, that I think there's a major step up in production to be heard.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I mean, the song is a mammoth, a gargantuan mammoth song that's also, playing with different moods over the total runtime of 10 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah, it's all the master is always different each time.
So, is it intended as a standalone single, or is it like a teaser of more things to come this year?
Yes. No, it is a standalone single, but also it shows what happens in the future.
Yeah, I think the song for us has kind of set the bar to newer things that we would like to try in this direction. Especially if you compare exercises and the jump between exercises to this one, I think we went a little more in the modern direction with this one that we kind of like, actually. And we'd like to stay there for a while. And the band loves it too, so... Yeah, we're going back to the studio in October this year, and for the first time we've decided to stay with the producer that we found for the last single, which is "The Day I Invented Rain." And this song has pretty much set the bar for us in terms of like what we want to achieve with our songwriting and the things we want to try and stuff. Even on this song especially, we did some stuff that was also pretty unorthodox, let's say. We used the baritone saxophone as a part of a solo in the middle of the song.
Yeah, wanted to ask about that. You also had like a guest musician for that, or is somebody in the band plays multiple instruments?
It's a really cool band from Basel, actually. The saxophonist plays from this really cool band from Basel called the Weird Fishes.
Weird Fishes, that sounds cool. Nice.
And yeah, I mean, she's a friend of ours. I mean, my ex-girlfriend sings for the band, so I kind of got to know her through that. And she's a really cool saxophone player. And since we just decided, okay, we put her into the studio and see what she can offer. It wasn't really a concrete idea that we had, but we really wanted to try it out. So we did it, and it really paid off.
It worked out surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I mean, normally you don't set stuff like that to a saxophone player, and he shows up in the studio, plays 5 takes, and is like, yeah, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, it's especially over 13/8 and some ridiculous time stuff that they're not really used to. But it really worked out. She was really open-minded through the whole thing, and we were done in like less than half an hour, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Not bad. I was when I was first listening to it, there was like something that sounded really familiar, and it took me like, multiple revisits to pinpoint it, and it's like towards the ending part of the song. There's like a very melodic section where you're singing, "I am this and this, I am this and this, and this," and at some point I think I got the reference. I don't know if it's intentional or not. I think it reminded me of something from the ocean, from anthropocentric, heliocentric era. There's like a pretty similar melody in one of these songs. I didn't take the time to really like find the specific song.
That's interesting.
We have to check that out. But if it is close to the same, then it was not intentional.
And we're sorry.
Forward to the ocean.
And anyway, wouldn't be the worst fit for potential touring opening slot. The ocean, wouldn't you say?
Let's put that down. We should contact the ocean. Let's do it.
Once hopefully touring goes back to more or less normal next year, I hope you guys will be able to play again, because last time you were in Munich, I couldn't make it. So
Yeah, we hope so
We
too.
hope to be back.
say once again, you were kind of talking over each other.
I just said we hope to be back there in Munich. It was fun. It was really cool. And we also, I mean, This Is Not an Elephant was really fun to watch. I didn't really know what to expect because I think they are friends of our drummer. So that's how we got to know them, and that's how we got to like listen to some of their music. And live was really fun.
Yeah,
And it was actually the last concert before this whole Corona stress happened. That was the last show we played. So
wow. Actually,
definitely want to play it again.
Then the last show I saw was This Is Not an Elephant. It was just last week. So here
Nice.
here in Munich we have the biggest and oldest and most important venue for rock and metal and alternative music styles, the Backstage. And since it is possible again to do small distant concerts, they're inviting small Munich bands to play in the biggest venue, like the biggest hall of the three venues they offer. Usually it's like 1,200 people capacity when it's sold out, like when Opeth or Ginger plays there. I don't know why Opeth was playing there on the last tour. They should have played at least one size bigger, but it was sold out, so it was nice for them. But they didn't fit all the stage production on the stage. That's another story. Anyway, so This Is Not an Elephant played last week together with another cool band called Munich band called Brain Dead Wavelength. And it's like in this big venue. There's like tables, and of course you have to give your name and your phone number and everything. But it's distant and it's cool. It's better than nothing, I think. The last concert I saw before that was on I think on the 11th of March, also in the Backstage, but in the middle-sized venue. That was Murath from Tunisia. Just 4 or 5 days before the lockdown started. It was they were playing one gig after that in Leipzig still, and then they also had to cancel their huge European tour midway through.
Shit.
Yeah. So that was a little step back into hopefully more live opportunities in the future again. I think we're all craving for it somehow, and on the other hand, we it's also like we also want to do the responsible thing and not rush things and everything. So it's not the easiest decision in these regards. Yeah, you already teased the future of Dr. Baer now with The Day I Invented Rain, that you're gonna go into the studio in October with the same producer, with the intention of putting together another full-length album? Question mark.
Not yet.
Okay.
We're gonna go on. We're gonna produce 2 more singles.
Yeah, we were pretty productive during the whole Corona phase and staying at home. We finished 2 more songs, and that's this time they're not 11 minutes long. Thankfully, they're like
Yeah, together they kind of are, but
yeah, together they come around say 11, 12 minutes. And for one of them, we want to do a music video, which is going to be our first music video. So we're planning
Cool.
on finishing the songs and the music video this year. Yeah, we should.
if possible, yes.
The songs we would for sure, but the music video is we're still working on storyboard, things like that.
We're gonna do it all DIY.
Yeah, we're pretty obsessive about this. I don't know why. But yeah, we there is a really cool network of people here that do so much of productive stuff and so much quality stuff actually, and we're lucky to know some of them. So it makes our lives way easier in a way.
Awesome.
It's really cool.
Moving into the direction of our little other section, I would like to ask you about some of your main influences, because in reading your bio, listening to your music, it's obvious that it's like, yeah, that they are all over the place. You describe your genre as brutal ethno prog. So yeah, I'm curious where. Of course, you mentioned the Tool origins, the Tool cover band origins of the band. But yeah, where do you like the main influences come from when it comes to songwriting for you guys?
That's also really quite hard to answer, because if you have different people with different influences and they put together something, then it's hard to pinpoint, okay, where is it actually come from.
So for you two personally,
I think
the main
you could.
I think for Sebi, it's a lot of this. I mean, if I'm allowed to guess, let me say for Sebi, it's a lot of these grunge-based rock bands that there is a certain heaviness, but not necessarily through guitars or anything. It's just the way the song itself, kind of the way, I don't know, the mixture of the voice, the instruments, the intensity kind of makes it heavy, and it doesn't have to be compression. It just it's just a certain element of the music that makes it heavy in a way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's mainly 90s rock and metal bands. Stuff like, what do we name first? Deftones and this direction, Korn. Because, yeah, this is the main part of the music I listen to comes somewhere from that era. Mm-hmm. I mean, I also got more into modern stuff, but this is where my heart lies, basically. And then through him, we got more into the Opeth, Meshuggah direction. And
yeah, I mean, for me, I would definitely say Opeth is in there, because I mean, I love the way there's so much melody happening in the middle of all that chaos and heaviness, and
absolutely,
there's
I can
this
relate
drama.
to that. Yeah,
there's this super drama factor in the music that I think is just, that has to be, you know, you've got to have that in a way. That there's a lot of people that listen just for that dramatic factor, and once they find it, kind of strike a chord with these people in a way, and they really like it.
Funny little backstory. When I discovered Opeth, I must have been around 16, 17 or something, and it was through Arians, The Human Equation, where Mikael also sang and growled, and up to this point, I couldn't stand any growls or unclean vocals or whatever
yeah.
you want to call them. It was like just disgusting, and I didn't know how to process them somehow. And so I heard Mikael growling on the Human Equation, and I thought, okay, this sounds intense, and I can relate to that somehow. So I went to check out Opeth, and my first album that I checked out back then, and it was in 2004, so it was an older album. The first album I got into my hands in the record store, it was Still Life, and it blew me away to the moon and back. And it was without a doubt the first growl record that I really got into, and I really fell in love with, and it was for a long time the heaviest shit I was listening to.
I completely relate to that. That was so, for me, it was back in the LimeWire days, actually. And then that's why I never really listened to albums, because I grew up in India, and then we never really had Spotify there and all that. Back then, Spotify, I think, it's not, at least when I was there, it wasn't a big thing. But that's why most of our friends, we used to like torrent music in LimeWire and things like this, where you could only download, single songs at a time or entire discographies at a time. And so you wouldn't really know where to start.
Okay.
But I was pretty lucky to have some friends that were really into heavy music. And the first time I watched Opeth live, I didn't know a single song of theirs. And I also really hated growling music. I hated it. It was really, it didn't speak to me at all. But then I saw Åkerfeldt live, and I was like, Åkerfeldt, sorry, it's Åkerfeldt, right?
Yeah.
I saw Åkerfeldt live, and wow, I didn't know a single song, and they played, apparently, later I figured out that they played really rare songs at that concert, like the Baying of the Hounds and things like that, which they don't usually play. And it blew me away without knowing a single song of theirs. And then I was religiously into the band. From then on, it was an obsession. It was, like you said, the heaviest thing I had ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was the first Opeth concert I saw was also in the Ghost Reveries time, and I think it was the first tour with Axe on drums. So sadly I never got to see Opeth with Lopeth on drums, but in the last years I had the opportunity to see Soen a couple of times, and also meet Martin Lopeth, who's also a really cool guy and really unique and cool drummer in his own way. And I'm super happy that he's back with Soen and making his music. We're already deep into talking other music than Dr. Baer. That brings me to a section that most of the time I do at the very beginning, but I changed things around a little bit, so I want to ask you guys now the big question: what's in your Walkmans? Even though you don't have Walkmans anymore, what have you been listening to lately? Some song recommendations for our listeners that we can put into the Spotify playlist.
Definitely
Bentley,
Bentley. This is such a sick band. I found this one album of theirs around, say, 3 months ago. It's called Shiny Eyed Babies.
Yes.
And it's from a band called Bent Knee, and it's some of the most interesting stuff I've heard in a really long time. I love these guys' attention to detail with sound design, and it's dramatic. It's really dramatic. It's like a musical, but pretty intense stuff.
They're also with weird influences. Yeah, it's brilliant, and everyone should listen to it. And it sounds
it's almost
theatrical, and it has influences from completely different music to it. It has a pretty folky and country vibe to it, and all the intensity you can ask from music. So
that's pretty. We're selling it really well right now.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree to that, or I can feel that as well. I had the pleasure and the opportunity of seeing the guys live 2 times with Haken.
Oh, wow.
Last year, at the beginning of last year, was it? Or I think so. Yes.
Okay,
It
how
all
can you-
seems like in another lifetime. Yeah, they opened for Haken, and the band making that lineup complete was Vola in the middle from Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah, that was sick.
About them personally. I don't know who they are personally. I haven't researched it that far ahead yet, but could you maybe tell me how old they are? Like, just generally, like a young band, or are they like, have they been doing this a while?
They're I would say they're around our age.
Okay, wow.
And
That's
20s
crazy. That's
Okay.
insane. That's
towards
insane.
30s,
Respect.
to the beginning of 30s.
Yeah.
Fairly young band. They've been doing it for a while though. Because they're all passionate musicians, and they're all crazy musicians. And seeing them live is definitely another level.
Oh.
And
I can imagine.
and
Do that.
Haken discovered them while playing with them in the United States, and then the European audience was lucky that Haken brought them over to Europe, and I hope with the next release, the global situation, if the global situation allows it, I hope they will be able to come back as a headliner for a small club tour. That would be really awesome. Yeah. So, favorite songs from Shiny Eyed Babies or from Bentley in general form? We can add 2 Bentley songs because it was just such a unanimous decision that you guys were saying we can put 2 songs in the playlist.
There was this really beautiful cover of the old folk song.
Which one is that? This You Are My Sunshine.
You Are My Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
This is one strong recommendation.
And then I also really like the second song, Way Too Long, and Dry, actually. They're all great songs.
It's really hard.
Yeah, they're all great songs. And they really move with the album, and it's kind of like you feel like you get to know even more of the band with every song that comes on in the album. It's crazy. It's really, the way they've done it is brilliant. It's really
I've been meaning to listen to the album again because I haven't listened to it in a long while, and last time or when I listened to it the first time, I didn't really get into it, and of course last year they released a new album with a long title. Mm-hmm. What was the title? We Know What You Mean, We Know What They Mean, something like that.
I don't really know.
You know what they mean.
You know what they mean. Yeah, right. And they had like some super poppy singles or singles with amazing hook lines, and I loved them. But the whole album, I find it difficult to listen to because it's so like it's harsh sometimes, like something in the production which is like intentionally harsh and making it not easy for me to listen to it. But talking about. Sorry, say it again.
If we were talking about easy listening music, I don't think we'd be here either.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
It's a little.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to a couple of tracks today. Actually, this morning I woke up with a very old Pain of Salvation ballad in my head, and that was Oblivion Ocean from the debut Entropia. So I want to add that to the playlist. Second one I had in my head spinning yesterday, and I was thinking it was one of those instances where you have a melody in your head and you're damn, which song is it? Which band? I can't quite pinpoint it, and it took me half a day, but then I remembered it was a very new band, international project from Dutch session musician called Kevin Storm. His project is called Fleet Burner, and they have 2 singles out. The debut album is coming in the fall. The second single was called The Passenger, and that was the chorus of The Passenger stuck in my head. And it also has a monster bridge with amazing guest vocals from our good friend Agnete Magnus Kirkevåg, the singer of Norwegian prog metal band Metamortem. That will be the second recommendation from my side in the Walkman section. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to an amazing young keyboard player who is located in Australia. He's called Rohan Sharma, and he just put out last Saturday. He put out his debut release called 18. Like, he's just 18 years old, so I think he's pulling an Adele here. I don't know. Anyway, the album is called 18. It features guest performances by Richard Henschel and vocal guest performance from Thomas Cucé from Next to None, and also a guitar guest solo from Lucas Dalla Rosa, who also did the master. And the single from that album was called Carnival. You can also find it on YouTube and stuff. All that's gonna go into the Spotify playlist, along with a best of Dr. Baer that you guys gonna give me in a bit. I think for now that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining. Have a nice summer, and I'm super curious what you guys will come up next with.
Yeah, too. Yeah. Pretty.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you guys for listening.
Goodbye.
Talk to you soon.
The Progcast is a production of Stuis Media and is recorded at the Moonbase Studios in Munich. It is produced by Randy M. Salo, Janine Stengel-Lewis, Blake Lewis, Kai Metzner, and Dario Albrecht. Our theme music is by This Is Not an Elephant.